All right, we should be good. Yeah, because there was this article that came up on my Newsweek app about Texas A&M Prairie View wanting to separate themselves from the main campus.
What's Prairie View?
So Prairie View is the uh, historical. I guess they call it a HBCU. The historical. It's made for fucking black people. So it's their own college, their own little sector of you know. I'm not sure when it. Hold on. When did Prairie
Oh,
View? So it's what how we allowed them to segregate themselves.
so this is a college or a a a body of sorts that is wanting to separate from A&M University.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that?
So
I mean, does that mean like they got were they getting their funding through the university?
yes,
So they have to become more self-sufficient now.
I
Are they
guess.
separating in order like they still want to exist, or are they like separating and dissolving, dissipating, disappearing? Quick, go hide.
No, I think they still want to exist. Hello, man, that topia, by the way. Yeah, because Prairie View.
But
Oh, hey,
do
Kelly.
they exist as like as a under the umbrella of the university? So they're kind of
Yes.
dependent on the university. So it's sort of like immediately I'm thinking with the separation, I'm
Mm-hmm.
expecting like demands like we want to separate, but we want all the funding, we want all the
Yep.
protection, we want
Right.
all the facilities, um, we want all the assistance, but we don't want to have to say thank you or owe it to you or anything like that.
Yes. 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 Okay. So let's see. They feel devalued and wants to leave Texas A&M University system. I don't know. I haven't looked at this part yet.
A&M's University alumni president is pushing to have the school removed from the Texas A&M system. The National Alumni Association president claims funding is not allocated evenly across the system. KPRC2's Rowan Balogan is live on the campus to explain why some believe now is the time. Rowan.
Keith, the alumni president there, tells me he's been in touch with lawmakers from the Houston area about the idea of these two entities parting ways. However, the system spokesperson tells me it doesn't add up that the university wants to walk away because they get more money. Prairie View A&M University's website highlights its nearly 150-year history, along with the history, and at the bottom of the page, the Texas A&M University system logo. The Prairie View National Alumni President wants the logo and the governance gone.
Yes, we're going to look at succeeding from the A&M system. We're going to look at all these here possibilities because the time is right now.
Mark Falls claims the Board of Regents doesn't spread funding evenly.
We would like to have a say-so. We would like to have an input at the things that go on at the university instead of being told what to do.
Prairie View and Texas A&M are both land grants with federal funding. The system spokesperson says funding for the HBCU has increased, writing the system has allocated $341 million in construction projects to the university over the past 11 years. The statement then says on an annual per student basis, system funding has more than doubled to $3,300 per student, up from $1,300.
Well, we right here under Texas A&M, and we feel devalued, we feel undeserved, we feel like we don't have a say-so. They are always in control.
They're coming up at 6. Here's some
But
reactions
he
from
just said it
students on
himself
their.
at the very beginning, like we are under the A&M Texas University.
Yeah.
So, not to sound rude, but it's kind of like know your place. Then
Right. You're
under,
part of a system.
he acknowledged it, he recognized it. He came out of his own mouth. He said, like, they're under the university, but
Yeah.
we want to be treated as equals. You know, or we want.
Right. They want more of a say so.
But then you're not going to be under anymore, are you?
Right. That's why they want to succeed.
So it's that double standards. We're victims. We're being oppressed, but we want to have superiority at the same time.
Right. Hello, Kush. Hey, Emmanuel. Hey, Bob.
Hey, everyone in the chat.
Now, what is that, Kelly? I was just thinking, I binge watched Why the Last Man and made me think of much of what we've discussed here. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Kelly.
I've been enjoying spending a bit of time just minding my own business, but I've been watching a lot of like convict stuff, prison stuff, and
Yeah.
I was hearing, yeah, it kind of like puts things into a little bit of a context where, you know, they ain't no messing around there. You know, when you're doing jail time, it's like you better, like, no pussyfooting around or whatever, no BSing. So you cut out the riffraff immediately, and I think it's actually quite a good thing for gentlemen to actually, maybe, you know, if you got some spare time, go watch some of this. People who have spent some time in the joint, you know, they'll set you straight immediately. Like code of conduct, you know, rules of the house, the unspoken word, and things like that, like your loyalty, your word, your duty, and all this. But the reason why I bring it up is because one of these ex-convicts was sharing a story that I can't remember the particular jailhouse that he was talking about, but when it was built, the cells were only designed to house one inmate at a time or whatever. So cells only big enough for one inmate. The population grew, and they wanted to start putting started putting bunk beds in these cells, so 2 inmates in a tiny room. This was breaking code, like regulations or whatever. So I don't know, HR started to get involved and made an ultimatum to the keepers of the jailhouse, saying either you have to pay a fine, or you have to, I don't know, like create additional cells or something like that. So the jailhouse did the maths, and they figured it was cheaper to
pay the fine.
It was cheaper to pay the fine and keep 2 people in per cell and F their human rights than to conform.
Yeah. Hello, Timothy. Hey, pooping while standing. Hey, Primo. Good to see you guys. Yeah, I feel like this because I know, just watching the faculty senate meetings, I know damn well that Prairie View is top priority for those feminists up there. Like they make sure they get treated extra nice. They get all the things plus some, and still these fucking people aren't happy with what they get. They always want more, and I think that kind of feeds into, you know, talking about narcissism and personality disorders.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I think it's a symptom of the bigger problem we have in our society.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you start talking about entitlement, and then as a result the lack of appreciation and a lack of understanding what value is and things like that, then you know, I could take it off into quite a long skit about that. But indeed, you're right. What is a bit aggravating is that people kowtow to, they cater. It's mostly about virtue signaling and appearance.
Yep.
But it's having that backing, you know, as a result of that virtue signaling. So theoretically, in their minds, they are entitled. They deserve all this funding, allowances, exemptions, perks, above and beyond. And yeah, like you say, it's never enough. And that's why I brought in the example of the jailhouse, because if you actually crunch the numbers, they don't really have a leg to stand on. Like we're gonna make these threats of walking out. It's kind of like, we'll go on then. We'll probably save a lot of money then.
Right.
A part of that exploitation is to convince the other party that we're indispensable. So in the case of this Prairie and university, it would be the Prairie people saying to the university, like, look, we're leaving, we feel devalued, but you better pay up our ransom, otherwise you're gonna suffer our absence.
Right.
So they're trying to fearmonger the university into like, oh, please don't go, please don't leave. You know, we need you. We do value you. You know, here's an extra grant. Stay, be happy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be part of this community and family. That's the kind of the con artistry, the trick, where it's pretty much like a ransom, like holding them at gunpoint, but without the proverbial gun.
Well, it's an emotional hostage taking, like holding yourself hostage to, or holding the emotions of the crazy bitches that work at A&M. That, and they're kind of right. I feel like maybe the feminists that work at A&M that are like, oh, these we need to take care of these people. I think maybe they need them more than Prairie View needs A&M. Because if they didn't have them as their like token, you know, social justice thing that they, you know, live for, what else would they have?
Yeah, they kind of work in cahoots.
Yes.
But you'll notice that a lot of this, so we're kind of also including this idea of transaction. And as we know with narcissists, their interactions, their relationships is all transactional based. So talking about budgets and positions of power, there is exchange, like I like to mention now and again, taking place. But the insult to injury is that because the narcissist wants to be all cloak and dagger and won't upfront really say what it is, they won't cut to the chase and just be clear, be honest, because they can't be honest. They have to kind of be manipulative and weasel around.
Oh, we feel undervalued.
Right. So they rely on the target to make the assumption. It's like, instead of just saying, look, what will make me happy is if I had my own parking spot outside. Instead of saying that, they let the other side guess what it is they want. So it's like, maybe they want more money. Okay, we'll give them more money. And the narcissist isn't really happy because they weren't really clear about what it is they wanted. Like, okay, so money wasn't good enough. Okay, we'll nominate a day of the month, especially for them. Okay, maybe that'll make them happy.
Oh, they have a whole month.
Well, there you go. Oh, we'll do that then. Or we'll give them a whole month. Oh, that's not really okay. Maybe we should we'll put a flag up in the foyer, you know. So you can see how the victim is sort of going above and beyond to try and cater to the unspoken demands of the narcissist, when all along really they just wanted a parking space outside.
Right.
You know, so they got all this additional stuff. It's sneaky, you know, ways of extracting, so without actually explicitly saying what it is you're after.
Right.
But who knows what else they might offer you? You know, if you were clear about what you wanted, they might meet your demands and that'll be the end of it. But if you make it vague and obscure, who knows what you might get?
You have them on the hook all the time.
Yeah. They might throw in a donkey as well and be like, here you go.
Donkey. Speaking of donkey, Kush, I think I will forever connect donkeys and Kush together. That was funny. His stream asking people about the donkey show. Sorry, that's so off topic, but
no. I mean, it's like everything and the kitchen sink.
yeah.
What else can we throw in to make this special group feel valued now? Because apparently,
Right.
And like you say, they keep moving the goalposts. They're never satisfied. So you can expect the victim or the target to constantly be outputting, like, what else can we do to make you happy? Like we'll bend the knee, like we'll sing a prayer every day to tell you that we value you and we need you and you're equal to us and you're better than us and it will never be enough.
Right. Yeah, it never will be enough. I've seen people that do that too. They fucking complain about, the bits and pieces of stuff that was validation, how it wasn't good enough. It's like, oh, I got a shout out, but I didn't like the way you shouted me out or some bullshit like that. Like,
if anything,
yeah.
Whatever it is the target hands over, not only is it never good enough, but it actually kind of fuels the demands of the narcissist.
Yes. Because you're enabling that fucking behavior. It's like you're reacting to their demand.
It's more than
trying to satisfy them, but it wasn't satisfying. So,
well, that's it. So it's more than just enabling. It actually accelerates and propels their entitlement even higher.
Yeah.
Because whatever it is they were given, from their point of view, it's something that they were owed. It's like, damn right you're going to give me a pay raise, or damn right you're going to give me a donkey or whatever, because you were supposed to do that long ago.
Right.
And so they've already got that mindset. Like if now that they received an item or a token of good faith or a gesture, it's like they've got instead of being grateful because they can't, it just fuels their resentment to be like, about time you gave that to me, and while you're at it, you might as well, like, give me something else as well while we're here,
Yeah.
So you can see that their bullying starts to take the forefront, and the demands are much more severe, more, what's the word, like obtuse, is that the right word? Like more obnoxious, more rude. There's no gratitude or appreciation. They've become more impatient. They're probably like more throwing their weight around, and it just gets silly and sillier.
Yeah. By the way, hello, Persian Cucumber. Long time no see. I saw your recent comments. Good to see you around. Yeah, it demonstrates the stupidity of people and that they will believe anything they are told, no matter how stupid it sounds. That's what I always wonder when I see people. Like I've seen people online talk about, how psychologically sound they are and how, they might have been through some shit, but now they're healed or whatever. And then I see them taking part in crazy bitch smear campaigns and literally believing those crazy bitches. I'm like, how in the fuck, how healed can you be, really, if you believe that bullshit? If you're willing to puppet the lies of the crazy bitch, how healed are you?
Well, yeah, it is. How do you define healed?
Yeah.
Are we talking about what I suspect, like, you're not necessarily talking about healing or recovery in terms of being functionable or to be able to then, what do you call it when you rehabilitate or integrate in society? I suspect you're saying healed in terms of like, from being maybe the abused to now or being bullied to now becoming the bully themselves. So they've healed in terms of learning how to be the aggressor.
Right, or the covert narcissist.
So they've learned some street smarts. They realize that they've been receiving a pummeling, and in their instead of actually like healing how we would like to think of it, they've just learned how to be self-defense.
Yeah, and it's almost overly compensatory. It's like I think you're bad, and I'm going to get you before you get me.
Yeah, because one of the this might be a bit of a bummer note to sort of mention, but one of the points of like healing is not so that you become some kind of untouchable entity, like you're invulnerable, you're immortal, you're like impenetrable.
Yeah.
Like you might heal and get hurt again in life,
Yeah.
but that's part of it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the ability of like an acceptance of knowing that you might get knocked flat out on your ass, and but you're not too concerned or worried because you have that self-care and you know what to do in order to
pick yourself back up,
pick yourself up and soothe yourself and do what's needed. That's what I would call it, is actually like good heal, or a form of good healing, you know, taking care of it in that way.
Yeah.
Not to go out and try and destroy someone else.
Right.
And then you say, oh, it's self-defense. I mean, there comes a point where I'm pretty sure in law, like, you can only use the argument of self-defense so far, like to nullify the threat. Like once you've got an opportunity to escape, if you don't escape and you stay there and, you know, go further, you cross the line, then you can't say it's self-defense, because now you've become the aggressor.
Right. By the way, hey, Johnny Midnight. He says, fair warning, Florida Bill HB 269 was signed by DeSantis. Flyering or printed media that hurts fifis is close to becoming illegal. What? Well, if that's the case, see, that's strange. Yeah, I'm not really liking some of the DeSantis stuff. I just finished his book, and I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that man at the moment. Hello, Braxton.
The image of Terminator 2, where John Connor says to the T-800, "You just can't go around killing people."
Yes.
And he shoots him in the knees. It's like,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, because all right, fine, you might not be able to do any make flyers, brochures, pamphlets, or printed media that hurt fifis, but simply from their point of view, if you said no, or even if you didn't acknowledge and you just dismissed them, that would be interpreted as, you're hurting my feelings.
Right.
You know, they'll probably be melodramatic about it as well. It's like, you're killing me.
Right. This whole feelings thing, I don't know. Probably because my lack of sympathy for a lot of people.
You just got to remember, like, with whatever kind of tactic, strategy, they think they're being smart with all this, changing the rules, moving the goalpost. If we are indeed, which what evidence is suggesting, like, we're dealing with like mental disorders here, like, particularly like things like narcissism, along with other stuff, self-destructive, maladaptive, whatever stunt they try and pull, it's going to backfire. So they might think they're being smart now by like as a safety protocol to watch to cover their backs or whatever. Like, hey, if we ban flyers being printed out about how this is hurting people's feelings, yeah, we can carry on doing what we want to do. But it's like you watch that play out, and it's not going to work out well for you.
Nope.
Because like people basically go, right, we just won't engage with you at all. Then how do you like them apples?
Yeah. Well, all the hurt fifis people just need to be fucking fired. Obviously, they're not adult enough to take on, adult type responsibilities like jobs, and they should be rid of.
Them, you wouldn't fire them because that gives them a excuse. Like, oh, we got fired. I'm a victim. They fired me. You would leave them. You leave them be because they're not going to be capable of carrying. They're going to drive themselves insane. They'll be running for the mountains. At which point you could be like, oh, but did you want that special car park spot earlier? We finally got it ready for you. And they'll be like, no, forget it. I don't want it anymore. It's like, oh, that's a shame.
Right.
Oh, bye. Don't forget to write.
Yeah, Emmanuel said I've seen women go to therapy and come out worse because all that healing was just getting someone to justify their terrible behavior as assertiveness. Yeah, the crazy bitch. I feel like I need a new name for it. I mean, if you break down crazy and bitch, it's all inclusive. I typically tend to stay away from the male side of bitch. I feel like the men should just sort the men out, and I stay out of that way. But
nothing wrong with crazy bitch. Kind of encapsulates it.
It deduces it to its most basic fundamental things that's wrong with all these fucking people.
Stark, raving, mad harpies. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. Well, Butrin and healing don't mix. Yeah, I don't think any of these head meds do. I feel like I want to go after the prescribing of the head meds because I see that as a problem that is getting in the way of female accountability.
Okay.
Because these crazy bitches have to take pills because they feel really bad, and then they don't feel so bad about their life choices anymore. So if they stop taking the pills, maybe it'll be easier for them to take accountability.
We've got this problem where society doesn't want to write off its members.
Yeah.
Because the concept of therapy, of counseling, of medication, it's good. The trouble is, and remember what I said earlier about you're dealing with people with a maladaptive trait.
Right.
So no matter what good you throw in their direction, what support you try and give them, they're gonna F it up. It's built, self-destruction is built into them. And this is why you put someone like that through therapy, as Mr. Bond is pointing out here.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, you'd think they would come out healed or at least better, but it doesn't. It makes them worse because they've got that maladaptation quality about them. Therapy is only going to work with people who are susceptible, but in a good way. They're willing to introspect, self-reflect. They're willing to work on themselves. It's only going to work on the somewhat like already healthier type of person, not someone who's crossed the line and is now condemned into this chaotic. Because the disorder, in a way, is the treatment. It is the cure. That is the therapy.
Mm. It's shit therapy, Billy.
It's escapism, but it's how they manage to derive their way of coping with life, because life has been too hard or too disorientating. So they've gone down this slippery slope and they divorce themselves from reality. Narcissism is described as a delusional disorder. They're not. And so if you think you've got if you've got a narcissist client, you put them in therapy thinking that you can set them straight.
Right.
There's something wrong. Like it's not going to make sense because they are delusional. They have separated from reality. They're in their own world. How are you going to do that? You can't. You can almost say that the therapist at that point is more delusional than a narcissist because they believe they've got the skill set or whatever to change them. The
Right.
narcissist doesn't want to change.
Right.
They're not the problem. You're the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Emmanuel on this. We need more male right-leaning psychologists. Only take psychology seriously once a serious bias is sorted out. See, that's the thing, the bias. And they're pushing the damn bias everywhere.
Well,
like that. Remember that D. Durrell guy that came here and tried to give me some racial sensitivity training?
Yeah.
Not like him. They can't be fucking like black identitarians and psychology don't fucking mix.
The thing is, the psychologist, the therapist, the shrinks, or whoever, the professionals, they're in a bit of a tight jam because they probably are aware that they're dealing with people who are maladaptive, that they're not going to they're rigid disorder, and they're being manipulated within their sessions as it's taking place. So, but they, at the same time, the professionals can't. I mean, they do sometimes, defer clients, but they can't explicitly say, like, look, once you've got a diagnosis, an official diagnosis of MPD or something like that, like you're off the books. No matter what kind of clinic you go to, no one is going, like, you are a write-off. Society is turning our backs on you. Like, that would not go down well on a societal level.
Unless you go to the crazy bitch boot camp and sort yourself out.
Well, you'd have to because
go be properly initiated. That's my new favorite word, by the way. Thank you, Bullets.
Because the professionals have a bit of an oath. They're supposed to help people regardless.
Yeah.
And that is a little bit of their undoing.
Yeah.
So they've got that kind of open door policy, but at the same time, it allows severely toxic people to come in. And it's a hard one. Like, I can sympathize to an extent because if you were to suggest to the governing board of the psychiatric mental health or whatever, you say, like, look, I understand you want to have an open policy, you want to help as many people as you can, but you're allowing people who intentionally don't want to actually do the work or heal. They're actually there to F around and be a time wasters and all the rest of it. And that takes away from the legitimate people who are looking for help. That puts the professionals into an ultra tight situation because it's true. It's like, what are they supposed? How are they going to make the call or judgment on that? How do they make it selective, where it's like, yeah? Because in a way, by allowing narcissistic people to entertain the idea of trying to give them therapy, is abusing the already people who are trying hard to actually do the work, who are legit. It's the same kind of problem you get with that whole Me Too movement.
Right.
Because if everyone's been raped, or whatever, lemonade, then what about the people who legitimately have been? What kind of help? Like, people aren't going to believe them anymore.
Hello, Smith. Good to see you. I'm glad you're still around and kicking. Yeah. I know, that's why I would make a terrible therapist too. And that's I had a conversation with somebody at work about this, about my insensitivity to people's feelings, and how when somebody comes to me like with a problem, my first response is I don't care how you're feeling. I want to get to the root of why you're feeling this way. Let's stop shit like this from happening. like again. Like, okay, so you feel bad. You don't want to feel bad. Let's solve the problem. Like,
I'm surprised therapists aren't insulted by these time wasters, because maybe in the very beginning, you're not too sure, but once they start to twig, they should twig, really, if they were good at their jobs. Well,
if they were good at their jobs, if the field wasn't already predominantly feminists who need people to need them, they need to sit there and listen to how bad somebody's life is so they can be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And, but you're stronger now, right? So they could be encouraging. So they can, that's like all these social justice crazy bitches at Texas A&M University that are like super primarily focused on the disabled right now. It's like there's something weird in their psyche that like they're not useful in more important ways. Like this is where they feel the most useful, like babying fucking adults.
Yeah, it's a be like the school will talk about equity and how they want to help the disadvantaged.
Yeah,
but it's almost like talking in tongues, where it's like in between the lines, or a kind of meta communication is being said, that we like the disabled or the disadvantaged children because we like their disability, sort of thing. Like we're glad that they have these problems because now we can capitalize from them having these problems.
right.
Like if it were normal kids, like standard or whatever, then boring, lame. Who wants one of them?
Yeah, but also like there's one specific that I look at, this chick Tracy. She's the part of the faculty senate that's like she's in charge of diversity, inclusion, equity, like, and she's always so fucking neurotic. And when I see her and I watch her and the passion that she has when she's talking about this shit, and then I see her kid like hanging all over her while she's trying to be involved in this meeting, I see the displaced mommy energy. There's something fucking broken there. Because like the look on her face when her kid's trying to get her fucking attention versus her hyper focus on all these other people's kids that are fucking adults. It's weird, Billy.
I've got one of those in my parental meetings. I got to be careful how I say it.
Yeah.
And I'm watching their faces, and the look on her face is the sound of silence. It's misery guts. It's just, I don't know. I'm almost doing a narration in my own head, like, why the fuck am I here? I'm so bored. I wish I was dead. My life is tough. It's like, but then when it's her time to speak, it's kind of snap back into reality. But like, oh yes, I'm the inclusivity officer or whatever. Oh yes, the children are wonderful. Yes, the disadvantage. Oh yes, it's robotic as well.
Yeah.
But all this stuff, it's gonna come to an end at some point, because
I know. Oh, it's already collapsing big time. The rats are scurrying all about.
Yeah, I mean, the cracks are getting bigger, and there is no, again, like with these sort of patterns of behavior, like narcissists don't have endurance, they don't have stamina,
Right.
they don't have resilience, they don't have fortitude. They're very fragile, they're very vulnerable, they're
very thin-skinned,
they're lazy bones.
Yeah.
There's so many descriptors. It's almost it almost sounds a bit silly. It's like, but each of these descriptions has merit to it, because when people here already understand it, like you see how it plays in, how they kind of interconnect. Obviously, if they're lazy and they're kind of cutting corners in life, they're not going to have any fortitude or resilience or stamina. They're more cowardly than brave. They might have a bit of a all bark and no bite, or they might talk the talk, but they don't really walk the walk.
Yeah.
So You know, and we're seeing signs, like your title suggests with the stream, like they're beginning to jump ship now.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a subconscious drive that's making them do it. They can sense, because bear in mind, they're quite hypervigilant, they're hypersensitive. So subconsciously, their intuition is picking up on the clues and the signals that things aren't really going very well.
Right.
They're not getting what they want. Everything around them is also chaotic and in turmoil. There's no stability. So they're now getting this sort of fight or flight response. They're in flight mode. So they're looking to where can we run to.
Yeah.
And as a result, they become more scatterbrained, more desperate, more frantic, more hysterical, and they're in a scramble now. So these people, in all their shapes and forms and communities and areas and walks of life, they're in a scramble to work out how to escape or which way are they going to go in order to reassert some form of control, because they're all this controlling, like narcissists are very controlling, right? As a reflection of the lack of control they actually have. They're absolutely out of control people.
Yeah.
Which is why they put such an emphasis on trying to control everything, like micromanage everyone and puppet master everyone. So don't be fooled into thinking that because they are very controlling, that makes them the conductor of life. Like they are both, like if they were in managerial positions, they flop because they don't really have the skill set to conduct their teams properly.
Right.
So with this scramble, frantic terror, because the fight, flight, freeze, fawn is a response to threat and danger. You know, they're in survivalistic mode. They're seeing things crack and crumble around them. This signals danger. Get the hell out of here. They're trying to work out, well, what's my escape plan going to be? Now, for some, I mean, quite often they'll probably just disappear into the darkness and hope no one finds them. You know, crawl back underneath the rock they came. But for some others, they're not going to have that ability to do so. They're going to have to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Hey, Outlaw. By the way, I'm loving your streams. I've been listening to some of them at work. They're really good. I'm glad you're doing that. Much needed. Can't wait for church. If you decide to do church services. Hey, Woody. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen some weird stuff online lately. You know how the predators will smell the blood in the water?
Mm-hmm.
And then they, try to make their moves. It's kind of funny being able to predict it and who and what they do.
Yeah. As a result of all of this, they become very predictable, very pattern oriented, very circular. So might not necessarily hit the bullseye, but like you can work out where in the cycle they are, and then you could kind of forecast, like, they've been AWOL for a while, they've been lurking in the shadows. You know they're still there watching.
Of course.
So you know they're gonna make a reappearance. You might not know when exactly they might make a reappearance, but you know they're gonna test the waters and try and reassert themselves, because they need the fuel, they need the supply, and where is it? It's in a place, the normies or the people who are healthy or the sane or whatever, we're the ones who have it. So they're gonna come back.
Right.
They're just trying to work out how can they weasel their way back.
Right.
It's like, hi, remember me? You're like, pretend everything happened in the past. Like, oh yeah,
right.
Asshole.
Right.
I went to therapy. I'm much better now.
Oh, I'm healed. I want to talk about healing. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
And they think that we aren't smart enough to know what they're up to.
Right.
Yeah, and in some ways, like for a long time, they're actually right, because we didn't know about narcissism to the depths that we do now. So
Yeah.
people would find themselves like in similar relationships, and it wouldn't be until maybe the third or fourth relationship they start to twig, all my exes are very similar, or this kind of pattern, and I'm hearing it from other people. It's almost like, hey, have we been dating the same person? The amount of times I've heard that, or like, hey, you're describing my ex to the T. It's like, yeah, because in a way, we are talking about the same person. Well, what we're talking about is not really it's the same character
Entity. Yeah.
Well, it's the same programming
Yeah.
installed.
The same corrupt source code. There's something. Well, they don't really have a core, do they?
Well, they lack person. I mean, they're part of. If it's narcissism, they're trying to escape the self as well as reality. So they don't have a person. They might have a personality, but they don't really have an identity or a sense of self.
Yeah.
So when you get past the veneer, quite often you'll find a narcissist is actually a really boring person.
Yeah.
They've got nothing going for them.
Right. Johnny Midnight, I don't think it's ever going to be. I think the state, these universities, so the university professors are kind of the core. They're the driving force for the state. They actually self-identify as the state. So your plantation is your university professors, and they are getting their tenure taken away. They are getting laws passed right now that will revoke their fucking degrees for academic dishonesty. Like, no, it's not going to happen. It's already been stopped. So just waiting for more of these dominoes to fall. But the first one already has. So they're done. Diversity, inclusion, equity policies in the state of Texas are fucking done. Actually, I just saw that, and I shared it. Somebody from the military, at Virginia Military Institute, a college trying to attract more women and minorities, Martin D. Brown declares diversity is the wrong mission. So
that is perhaps the only salvation going forward into the future. It's how well they're able to corrupt newcomers or newbies or the next generation.
Yeah.
So if you want to get more of a kind of outside perspective or outer space looking down on Earth kind of perspective, and you want to see a sort of prognosis, generally speaking, what we're probably gonna like these are my predictions. Don't place your bets. Is that we'll see like swaths and waves. So they'll disperse, then they'll congregate, and they'll try to re-emerge to reassert themselves because they have to. They have that compulsion. They need to eat at the end of the day, so they're going to have to try and reinvent themselves, the new me kind of thing. It's like what happened to the old you?
Right.
That,
It
by
sucked.
The way, that is still a red flag if you hear people talking about the new me.
Oh yeah.
Nah, so you're picking and choosing, and there could be another new you in a week's time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I digress. So they'll reinvent themselves. They'll try to reemerge, to reassert, to reharvest. That probably won't work. And eventually they'll get into a position where they're getting older, and they'll end up like our community friend. Shall I mention her name? The elderly maniac.
Which one, Elspeth?
Yeah, that one. End up into a situation like that where, for all intents and purposes, they're now they burned all the bridges. They've more or less isolated themselves as a result.
Yeah.
They try to venture out. but now they're socially awkward and despicable and horrid, and just no one wants to deal with them, and they're getting older and older.
But you know what is so strange about that whole fucking situation? Shit that crazy bitch and other crazy bitches like Scorp thought made up in their fucking head after getting bits and pieces of information. They filled in all these damn gaps. Somehow their delusional fucking minds, what they thought, came out of the mouths of other people. People I actually liked. Like, and that I had respect for. Well, like even fucking Narc said it, the Narc Files show guy, who's like, oh, she's been to jail before, I can't take anything she says seriously. I'm like, he literally believes that I've been to jail before.
Well, yeah, it's a bit
because
of a funny thing.
Some crazy bitches made up a fucking story.
Yeah,
like,
but understand why it's happening, and you know it's not going to be a surprise. Because reality, number one, like they're avoiding reality. So so the truth, you know, people like to talk about the truth, is the last thing they actually want, really.
Right.
As much as they talk about the truth and they got it all worked out and everything. No, they circumvented the truth. They created their own truth, their magical thinking truth.
Right.
You know? So there's no way that it's accurate or based in objective reality. They're allergic to reality. The truth is toxic to them. So they're going to have to come up with something as an alternative. And when you got, we'll take your being jailed up as an example. If you got one narrative that says you weren't in jail and another narrative that says you were, well, the made up version is going to be more tantalizing, you know, and it's something they've created. So they kind of validate it themselves. They say, no, this is really what happened. She did go to jail because I said so.
Right. I would love like all these people that are like, you know, I've been to jail. I would love to know when and what for. At least give me that. Fuck.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
And when you try to like correct them and say like, no, the real truth is that you weren't in jail.
Right.
This is unacceptable. This is what is it when I was asked for credentials? You know, when they try to call the bluff and say like, oh, I bet you don't have credentials, and I was like, excuse me, actually I do. Right. And then they're like, oh, but your credentials don't count. You're from the UK. It's like,
right.
So if you turn around and said like, oh well, in fact, like I wasn't in jail. They'll be like, oh, that's because
oh no. They'll say, oh, it's
paid your way out or something. I don't know.
No. Maybe you should be because you made a man kill himself. That was the other thing that I thought was strange coming out of fucking random people's mouths.
Yeah, that's a.
I'm like, really? I did that?
Yeah,
that's strange.
Leaps and bounds of trying to pin the tail on a donkey, I suppose, because you know, like if you took that sort of mentality and extrapolated it, like heaven forbid you decide to self-delete, but let's say you did for well, I don't want to play with it for entertainment's sake, but let's say you self-deleted. Would that mean the people who were against you are responsible for you doing that? Because according to their logic, they would be.
I just find it interesting. You give little bits and pieces of fucking information, and the way people fill in the blanks gives me a deep look into their psychology for sure.
Yeah. Not only do they fill in the blanks, but bear in mind that they're filling the blanks with distorted senses, and you know they've got like Dunning-Kruger playing off in the background. Their intelligence is low and all this, and their magical thinking, they make it exaggerated, they embellish it. Narcissists they rewrite history and fabricate it.
Yeah, they do.
You know, so there's no way you're going to get an accurate portrayal of what took place. even if they were testifying on the stand, they wouldn't give a proper testimonial, and it'd be very sly. You know, they,
Right.
like, they might the prosecutor might say something, I don't know, like, so what happened on that evening when you were walking down the alley? Tell us the chain of events. And then the narcissistic victim testifying is like, oh, you got to believe me, Your Honor. I was walking all alone on a dark, starry night. The moon
Right.
was high above. You know, it's like the story writing starts to come out. They're so poetical or whatever.
Right.
These was it three? No, I think it was 300 dark, shadowy figures jumped out from nowhere, and they grabbed me. They grabbed me by each of my fingers, and I begged and pleaded for mercy. And it's like,
Oh God.
none of that happened.
Dude, that reminds me. I'm trying to listen to a couple books at work. Crime and Punishment being one of them. Dude, I had to turn it off when they were talking about beating the fucking horse. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened to that book or read it, but
Beating a horse? Are you talking about bestiality?
No, they were talking about beating a horse, a poor little horse that was like pulling a carriage. And they were like literally talking about whipping this fucking horse. And they had a bunch of people in this carriage and they were trying to make it gallop or whatever. I was just like, I can't listen anymore to this fucking book. I'm not even that far into it. I don't know. I just prefer my stories visual, like movies or something. Hello, Red Ranger, by the way. Yeah, why face the truth when you can make up your own ending conclusions? Yeah, that's why everybody's allowed to have their truth. Even their truth about other people and their fucking lives. Like I try to stay in, I think it's just a default of mine. I stay pretty objective when it comes to judging people. Like I've never once gotten a little piece of information and then made up some elaborate fucking story about what could have happened. Like, I'm like, no, this is what I see. This is what I'm observing. And that's what it is. Like, that's obviously there's cause and effect right there. If I can observe it, that's what I see.
Yeah, I like a balance account or retelling at least. Like if you're going to try and pull the wool over my eyes, like at least be balanced about it. Because
right.
quite often it starts to stick out like a sore thumb, because when they're retelling the story and they're trying to emphasize how much of a victim they are, you know, it's embellished heavily, and they'll put on the crocodile tears or the afflictions in the tone of voice. I'm a bit of, oh, poor me. And then
right.
when maybe they're being questioned and it's something that holds them accountable, it'd be like, oh yeah,
right.
yeah, I did call him a cunt, yeah, but never mind that. You know, get back to so you kind of gloss over and skim it. It's like, what happened to all the embellishment? Like, come on, tell us how much you called this person a cunt and how you got what you deserved.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Johnny, that's true. I don't have an imagination. That's something that I can't say that I've struggled with it. Like, I can recreate stuff, but to think up something out of nothing, I can't do that. I have to see it to, I don't know what that's called, but
I don't know. Well, it's like an art form, isn't it? So some people's styles, their personality.
Yeah, I am not very creative.
Some people are good on the mic. Some people are a bit
I'm
nervous.
recreative. That's what I am. Recreative.
I admire your bluntness and directness.
Yeah.
Most of the time, because it kind of like you cut through the mustard. And it's like, Billy, you know, you're waffling. Like, just sum it up, and boom. Like, yeah, you're right. Initiation. Yeah.
Well, but so I love your explanations because you thoroughly explain my basic concept. Like, I know there's a lot of people that just don't get point blank stuff, like fundamental things, and people need a long explanation about, you know, how we got to that conclusion or whatever. And you're really good about explaining that. I have no interest.
I've been in the rabbit hole long enough. You know?
Yeah.
Let me take you on a tour.
Right. Now you're good at storytelling. Creative ways. Yeah. I get them at their core. Thank you, Johnny. It's like a chess game. It's strategy. Now, strategies I can create, but only based on what I already know. So,
I mean, you were talking to me sort of backstage about personality types a little bit. And
yeah.
that's one of the distinctions between, like, say, you and I. Because you're in your function stack, you have thinking.
Yeah.
Whereas in my function stack, it's feeling.
Feeling, yeah.
So if you listen to our talking styles, you're more analytical, you're more logical, and I'm more, well, Billy's off in the weeds or whatever. You know, so
yeah, but
surprising.
But I think the feeling part is maybe more important right now, because everybody's in their fifis, you know, and our society is kind of moving because of people's feelings, and getting a proper explanation of those is helpful.
I suppose, yeah.
Because I can say something and it would probably offend somebody, like, and they won't listen. But if you say it, the same thing, only in a different way, people tend to react differently.
Yeah, but it's the British accent as well. That's half of it. You know?
Right?
Like, good day, good mother. Would you like a bit of spotted dick and tea and crumpets? Splendid weather.
Right. Yep, I agree with that, Ranger. And I was gifted with the lack of emotions mostly, so I can stay pretty even keel. The logic.
Well, another way of not illustrating, but to make the point that when people are, like Red Ranger is saying, when people are in their feelings, when especially they're reliant and they're drowning in their feelings, like, logic is not welcomed.
Right.
Like the last thing from an emotional thinking person, they're dependent on their emotions to look after them, and then you come along with logic and says like, stop feeling like that.
Yeah.
Like, so they reject logic because they don't want to be grounded in that sort of way, brought back to reality, because they're trying to escape reality. They're using their emotions to get away from logic.
Right. And these are habitual escape artists.
And unfortunately, if you had like two fighters in a ring, and one of them was like emotion personified, and the opponent is logic personified.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, emotion will always beat the hell out of logic.
Right.
You know, you could be as logical as you want. You could argue the points. You could write it all out, but the emotional urges and drives will go against that. Not every time, but for the vast majority of times.
Yeah.
You know, people know it's a bad idea to, I don't know, stick your dick in a plug socket, but they still do it.
Right. A thought socket.
Yeah. Like, people know drinking is bad or smoking is bad, but they still do it.
Yeah.
Is that a logical choice that they're doing it? No, purely emotional.
Yep. Purely. Love bombing. I have a question about love bombing. What's the difference between love bombing and having actual like care and respect for somebody.
I thought you said Karen respect. I said Karen.
No,
Care and respect. Yeah, okay.
Karens don't respect shit.
Well, like innocent, harmless, sort of flirting, a little bit of playing, a little bit of hey,
No, like
love bombing is a form of manipulation and abuse. So straight off the bat, the intent,
right,
the end
right.
goal, or whatever.
Right.
It's a means to an end kind of thing. So the love bombing in of itself serves a purpose. It's not, they don't love bomb you just for the sake of love bombing you and that's it. It's for some kind of benefit. Most cases is to so that you lower your defenses and you start becoming you start linking your self-esteem to the person giving you the love bomb, so they make you feel good. Like it feels good to get compliments or to get gifts or to be swept off your feet or whatever. And with the love bombing, also in conjunction, it should actually be mentioned more often, but it's not, is that reward and withdraw. Like it's give you a little bit of love bombing and then withhold the affection. So then you feel that sudden emptiness of space. You're like, what happened to all the compliments? What happened to? So now you're trying to chase after that validation again. Then they might give you a bit more like crumbs of a love bomb. Never quite the same as never quite as intense as it was initially. And so that kind of makes you into like a returning customer. So this is if it's successful, if the manipulation is working well.
Right.
So the victim is constantly trying to chase that golden memory that they once had. Like, wasn't it like how like can't we go back to the way things were before? That sort of talk or language, especially if the relationship has gone on for a long time. So the now codependent typically, because you're now dependent on them giving you this love bomb validation, this attention as well. That's another sort of element to it, is that you're being immersed in so much attention. Like this narcissist other is giving you their time. They may be buying you gifts. They're spoiling, they're pampering you, they're making compliments and all this. And usually the victim isn't used to it. It's like a sensory overload. So you've become in part addicted to the love bombing and you want more of it. Who doesn't want to be loved, right? So so you start chasing after the narcissist. And unfortunately, it's a little bit like how we were saying earlier in the stream, that the more you give in to the demands, the accelerated their demands become and the more extreme. It's a little bit like that. So the more desperate you appear, the more they withdraw the love bombing, because there's no need to. If they've already got you on the hook and it's clear that you're chasing after them, they don't need to love bomb you. What for? Why would they want to be nice? You mean I have to be nice to you? No, I've already got you. So the only time they'll love bomb again is if the danger or the threat of you now turning around or away and saying, you know what, fuck this, like you clearly don't love me, I'm out of here, kind of thing. Suddenly now they'll be like, oh no, like think of the old days. They'll start trying to pepper in some love bombing to entice you, to remind you, like PTSD here, to remind you of the olden days, to give you a false hope. Like maybe they might say, oh, I'm sorry. Maybe you might get a fake apology. The narcissist might say, you know what, I'm sorry, like I'll go into therapy and we'll try and save the marriage or something like that. That's giving the victim hope. The victim is like, okay, I will endure more pain and torture because she is now saying she's willing to go to therapy to save our marriage. Clearly, I must mean something to her then. So you see how the victim ends up creating this additional bullshittery in his own head. He's in his own fantasy thinking, oh, she's gonna work on some issues because clearly she must still love me. Like, she doesn't fucking love you in the slightest, you know.
Right.
She's toying with this guy. So she goes to therapy. If she got, actually, I mean, maybe she's gone to the bar, you know, just told him maybe she's out with Chad or Tyrone, but she's told him she's gone to therapy. You know, this is a different kind of therapy.
Speaking of Tyrone got love bombed too.
Oh yeah. And so yeah, so she comes back. From her point of view, this is hilarious. Like, she's enjoying it because she's really messing with his head. She's doing she's managing to position herself like in that triangle in the middle. You know how like girls love seeing guys fight over her because she's getting attention from all sorts of directions. Not only has she managed to keep him on the hook, but more than likely, because if she's going to go get therapy and help, this puts out a message to other people like, "Oh, you poor dear, here's have some sympathy thrown your way." You know, they're obviously going through a lot of stuff because they're having to go through therapy and they're trying to save the marriage. Oh, she's such a good woman. So without even having to do anything, her virtue, her sympathy, his holding on, allowing her the space to carry on behind his back and do the things that she wants to do. This is like win-win. She's hitting the jackpot here. She's like off her tits, like she's in ecstasy, you know. So well, maybe I'm kind of taking the conversation a bit away from the initial love bombing, but to try and bring it back to the act of love. So how is this different to someone who is flirting and paying a compliment and just trying to be nice or playful or whatever? It's because they're not trying to fuck you over in such a way. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. People's perceptions of what happens just blows my mind sometimes.
Also, someone who is actually honest, legit, you know, means no harm, won't really be love bombing. Like,
right.
It's on the bombing. They're not trying to like drown you with all this attention and love and everything like that. You know, they'll pay you a little bit of a compliment here and there. It's kind of pitted out. It's sort of like a baseline, you know.
Yeah.
And more than likely, not only would they be paying these compliments in the beginning, but they'll probably carry on paying compliments throughout the relationship, you know,
Right.
because it's part of their demeanor or part of their character. It's like second nature to them or whatever. They know how to sort of, not to sound too simpish, but they know how to sort of treat a lady or whoever it is they're with. And so it's not really a big deal, as it were. Like, there isn't an emphasis on it. Whereas someone who's trying, like the con artist who's trying to pull the wool over your eyes,
they lay it on thick.
Lay it on thick, quick as well. Speed is of the essence here, because they don't want you to not second guess, but they don't want you to sort of think about things too much. They want you to commit immediately. That's why they want to get you to get married straight away. You know, so the part of the love bombing, quite often you hear is like, you know, maybe you have a one-night stand. Suddenly it's like, oh my God, you're my soulmate. I've been waiting for you my whole life. Let's get married tomorrow. You know, I'm pregnant. You know, it's like, whoa. It's only been like 4 days. You know,
right.
Let's buy a house together. You know, and let's elope. Let's not tell everyone. So there's a lot of kind of controlled information as well. And for all you know, she might already still be married. She hasn't even had a divorce. Like, you can't necessarily trust what she's telling you.
Oh yeah.
You know,
there's that.
So she's running, like, as much as guys like to think they can run game. She's fucking running game big time.
Right.
At least, you know, that's not to say it's never the other way around. Of course it is, but whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So Yeah, like you say, it's intense, it's quick, it's in excess. I mean, these are, in hindsight, you look back and you realize, damn, those are major red flags.
Right.
But it shows you how potent the love bomb drug, as it were, really is, because like I was saying, like emotions will override logic. So even
Right.
though maybe the logical part of your head is whispering in the back of your ear, like slow down, hero, like don't go gallivanting off. You're gonna say, fuck off, conscious. I want to get Panani tonight. I'm going for it, balls deep, and boom, his raging hard on has got the better of him.
Yeah.
So it's a slippery slope, as it were, and emotions are high. If they've gone out drinking as well, that's obviously not going to help.
Right.
And quite often, in combination with the love bombing, will be future faking. So pillow talk, and she'll say like, "Oh, I promise I'll love you forever," and she'll make all these promises, but like, yes, we can get I'll marry you straight away, and yes, I'll bear your children for you. You want a son? No problem. I'll pop one out, next week. We'll get some dogs. We'll get a farm. We'll get a house with a white picket fence. So the guy is, well, he's being duped left, right, and center, and it's such a utopia that's being painted. The fantasy was already in his head. She's just trying to work out what his fantasy is. So she's making all these promises, trying to figure out, is it kids he really wants? If it is, then I'll promise him kids. He doesn't seem to be interested in kids, but he is interested in the idea of marriage. Okay, I'll present the idea of marriage. All right, I'll promise him I'll marry him then. So she's trying to she's vetting him, assessing him. She's working out where his dependencies are, and she's stimulating the fantasy that is already in his dream. She's just embellishing. She's just bringing it to life, so that he can envision it much more, so that he can be, so that he can become, he can enter a psychosis of his own creation in a way. And at the same time, she can then deny accountability. She could turn around and say, like, it wasn't me that made you have this psychotic dream or whatever fantasy. This was your dream. You're the one that needs mental. You're the one that needs therapy here, not me. And in a way, she's actually right, because this wasn't really her creation. She's just an opportunist and capitalized on his insecurities, his vulnerability, his imagination, his magical thinking, his emotions. So these are his. This is why the narcissist doesn't really make wounds and injuries. They look for pre-existing injuries in their targets. They mosey on in there, and they pull these wounds wide open. That is the point of entry, the point of access. So the targets, the most susceptible, the easiest to fall, are people who are already injured in some way, shape, or form. And like you're saying, like smelling blood in the water, that is what they're sniffing. Like, where are you injured, and in what way? Do you have abandonment issues? Okay, right, you've got abandonment issues. Right, I'll promise I will stay with you beyond life and death. I'll be with you into the spirit world. And then later on in the relationship, she'll know exactly how to hurt him. It will be by abandoning him.
Yeah.
So the one thing that he was hoping that her promise would be true and consistent is the very same thing she will leverage as a weapon against him. And that's like getting intel well in advance. Like, the relationship hasn't even started really, and she already knows that this guy has abandonment issues and knows how to destroy him.
Yeah. Billy, I need to go in 7 minutes because I need to finish getting ready for work and I need to eat real quick.
You're having this stream before work? Nutter.
Yes, I know. I wish. Should I call in? I should call in, huh?
Go to work.
I've actually. Oh man, I have so many things I'm working on right now. We have to have a stream and get into it, but yeah, the company actually just hired another fucking diversity hire in the law department, in the legal department. I don't know, another fucking CEO. So
that reinventing. This is in part with all these titles and
Yep.
positions.
Yep.
We have to open up a new position for someone to fill.
Yep.
As part of it.
Yeah, and I'm still working on my HR meeting. I've been as offensive as I possibly could in a corporate setting. I say all the damn things, and nobody has reported me yet. So I'm waiting. I don't know if it's daytime people that I need to start putting more pressure on, but
I suspect
somebody needs to report me. Huh?
They don't realize because they don't really listen properly as well. So you make points.
Oh.
You can list out a lot of points, and it's like going over their ears, or it's not penetrating.
Oh no! A lot of them are now just avoiding me.
Yeah. Well, sort of, kind of maybe like withdrawn, shutting the truth out.
Like they don't want to be around me because I'm gonna call out their fucking bullshit.
Yeah. You reveal the emperor has no clothes. It's not so. I mean, that's kind of the nuanced part where it's not so much what is the point itself that is being said, which is the problem. It's that the the meta communication message that, oh shit, I've just been caught out.
Yeah.
Never mind what for or what's being pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is, oh shit, they're gonna see right through me now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. They're afraid. And it's funny. It's funny that they're that terrified of reality and the truth.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, in part that's why they kind of hide behind their titles to such a degree as well, because it's protection.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it kind of gives them some authority.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one's going to question me because I am HR.
Right. I want to go sit down with HR. I don't know. I need to find some more lively hornets mess to kick, apparently. So I'm working on it. I don't know. I've been here like 3 months and I've already got the place scoped out. I've already kind of separated the wheat from the chaff. There's a couple of pieces of wheat that I thought were chaff that really are wheat. That was surprising. My initial assessment was chaff because they fucking didn't give a shit about the place because all they tried to, do and invest and they just kept getting shut down. So working on building the wheat back up. It's a project.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing I'm looking forward to as time progresses. Those who, there's not so much like, I don't know if you want to call us the sort of the resistance, and you've got the narcissist. It's not so much about the polar opposites here. It's the people in between. Which side, which way are they going to go?
Yeah.
The codependents, the flying monkeys, are they going to go with the narcissist, or are they actually going to like acknowledge no, they're going to have to take some self-control here and be accountable and stand up and actually fight.
Yeah.
Because to lend a bit of sympathy for those in between, like they've got a tough decision to make. They're followers, and that's not to be derogatory. Like everyone can't be a leader, or whatever. Like the narcissist has made their decision. Everyone here has already made their decision. So it's not really up for debate from our point of view, from either of our point of view. It's those in between that got to make up their mind, who, unfortunately, for the most part, are the sheep. You know, they're followers. They're going to go with. They're more socialist in nature. They're going to try and go with the herd if they can, but they're going to have that cognitive dissonance where it's like, as much as they try and bend the knee to fawn, the fawning response, as much as they try, it's just not going to jive with reality.
Right. Right.
And in part, that's why they say with MGTOW, like, MGTOW doesn't need to recruit. Give it time, they'll find their way over here, because that's the way it's going to go. Like, this ain't like a possibility. No, it's a pretty much inevitable.
It's a probability. Yeah.
It's inevitable, because
yeah.
If you want to go with a narcissist and be part of that shared fantasy, then more power to you. Good luck, because you're going to need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Billy, for the therapy.
Oh, thanks. Was it that bad, huh?
No, it was that good. You're an awesome therapist.
Well, my office hours, my doors are always open. And thank you for having me on the stream. You know, it's been a while, and good to hang out.
Are you gonna have a after stream?
Nah, I'm gonna try and get an early night. I'm gonna put an alternator in the car tomorrow.
Okay.
Not a big job, but still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get some rest for it. Okay, well I hope. Well, it sucks that you have to go to work, but you know, I hope work goes all right for you.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I'm actually working with some people that I like, so.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be good.
And don't forget to get some rest afterwards, you know.
Yeah, no, today I slept all day. I didn't have any. Well, I mean, I kept waking up. I didn't have any hair appointments, so I've been having this bad habit of, because I have hair during the day and this other thing at night. It's like I sleep for a couple hours and then I work and then I'll sleep and then work. Yeah, it's kind of.
If you're not careful, you're going to give one of your hair clients like the palette look or something. You know?
No, no. But yeah, I had good sleep today.
Okay, well, make sure you get good sleep. You're eating well. You're looking after yourself. You know.
Yes, sir.
So that you can be the more productive workhorse that you are.
Right. Uber productive. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks again, Billy.
Good night, and good night, everyone in the chat.
Yeah, everybody in the chat. Timothy, Mr. Iridium Kush, Peng, good to see you. Mandy, good to see you. Red Ranger, good to see you. I saw Manletopia really early on. By the way, I didn't say hi, JR, but hello. Mexican Muscle's always here. Johnny Midnight. Woody was here. Good to see you, Woody. Emmanuel. Oh, and Outlaw. Outlaw's been streaming. Good stuff. It's good to see the streams. Good to see the guys getting together and conversating. It's always good. Yeah, I need to catch up on some streams tonight at work. I think I have yours and Bullets' last one to have a listen to. But good night, y'all. Timothy. Yeah, y'all come back, you hear? Yes, sir. Later, y'all.